faction, very exciting, coming to For Honor. 4 all new classes, so what can we expect?
So with the Shaolin faction, which is the actual name of that faction, we have 4 fighters. We have the Vanguard, which is called... So with the Shaolin faction, which is the actual name... So with the Shaolin faction, which called Shidu, is fighting with a big sword that is called Dao, that has a really thick blade. Fighting with a big sword that is called Dao, that has a really thick blade. Fighting with a big sword that is called Dao, that has a really thick blade. Then we have the Shaolin Monk with a lot of kung fu style fighting, and the staff is really deadly and really swift and fast. We have the Nusha. We have the Shaolin Monk with a lot of kung fu style fighting, and the staff is really deadly and really swift and fast. We have the Nusha hook sword, and she has some really specific moves where she traps the weapon of the opponent. Some new effects of fight. And then we have Wanyu using massive lens called the Guandao. Is the old master. He has some pretty good tricks, but that we'll see later.
So we're going to come back to the gameplay of those 4 heroes, but let's just get kind of a narrative brief on what is happening with this new faction, as well as the land of For Honor. What is happening narratively in this?
So basically, 1,000 years ago, there has been that massive cataclysm, and that was treated in the campaign of For Honor and the type of impact it had on knights, Vikings, and samurai. But that cataclysm was across the world, and the type of impact it had on knights, Vikings, and samurai. But that cataclysm was across the world. And in China, that cataclysm triggered a civil war. That civil war lasted for hundreds of years. And there is one faction, the Shaolin, that is starting to get a hold on China, but they haven't yet won the fight. But still, some of the fighters of that faction are moving away from China and getting into the world of For Honor.
So For Honor is an extremely brutal game. The executions are extremely fun to watch. Tell me about the combat style of the Grandmaster you mentioned. He kind of looks like an older Guan Yu with the long staff. And what can we expect his playstyle to be like?
So his playstyle is, he has some really specific moves. Basically, all of his attacks are zone attacks. So they have that extreme range, but they cost a ton of stamina. But he can mix them up, and he's really deadly with that. The trick is that he has a rest stance with down on the right stick, where a little bit like the Nobushi, he goes backward with a small dodge, and you can hold that stance. And in that stance, he can regenerate his stamina and mix up with other moves. So the whole fight style with that character, it's mixing up zone attack, baiting you, dodge back, reset your stamina, and continue your chains.
We have a new character with the Broadsword, which is kind of a traditional Chinese fighter in armor. What is his play? A little bit more agile, or kind of a warrior archetype?
Yeah, he's the vanguard of the Chinese. It's the class, the role is called the Chendi. And he's kind of like a little bit a mix between...
Since launch, in terms of the roster, how many characters are we up to now, and what are some of your favorite additions?
So since launch, we've added 4 new seasons. So in the first 3 seasons, we've added 2 new characters every time. So we've added the first season, the Centurion, the Shinobi. Second season, a Gladiator, and an Islander with a massive claymore. And in the third season, we've added a Shaman, kind of really dirty and tricky character, one of my favorites, and the Aramusha, like kind of a standard running archetype with 2 katanas. And then earlier this year, along with the release of the dedicated server, we've started to revamp and improve some of our vanilla characters because through post-launch and working on new DLC character, we really improve the way we're creating fighters, and the play style of those characters. And so now we're bringing all the other characters up to par with the new characters. And then every week we have new content, new execution, new outfits, new effects, new emotes.
And you've also had a very large balance pass that you kind of publicized recently.
Yes.
How has the balance process been thus far? Do you feel like you're finally in a state that is very competitive?
Yes. So basically, starting this year in February, we stopped releasing new characters for a while, and we focus in revamping and improving our balance. Basically, our balancing work in For Honor, of course, at first there's a work of game design where we look at data and we have all those different data tracking tools where we see win-loss ratio based on the ranking of the players, etc. But also we have a very active community of really top players, and we do workshops with them. We fly them to Montreal. They get to play new characters, play their balancing stuff, and then we have a Discord channel with them, where any designer on the team can ask them questions and exchange with those guys. Oh, what happened if I had 100 milliseconds in your mind in that character, and have this type of discussion. And then when we actually make changes, discussion. And then, when we actually make change on our side, we can push them directly private version where they can test those changes and directly gives us feedback.
So this is where For Honor is now, but let's talk about where it's going to be in the future. There's a new mode coming out called Breach, which I think is core to just the medieval fantasy of sieging a castle. So talk me through what Breach is.
Breach, really, it's the attacking and defending castle fantasy. You have one team of attackers that needs to move their army inside the castle and kill the lord of the castle, and one team of defenders that is trying to prevent you from destroying their gates. So they will try to destroy your battering ram, they will use their archers, they will use boiling oil, they will use ballistas to try to stop the attacking team and destroy their battering ram.
How are you queuing into this mode? Is this something that is just a gameplay mode that is randomly going to pop up in a queue, or are you